Hello, my name is Louis Mirandola, and this is my course project on coral bleaching. While coral reefs have been around for 500 million years, mass bleaching has only been around since the 1980s. However, it has already caused irreversible damage to the world's reefs. From 1985 to 2017, 29% to 45% of the reefs have experienced bleaching, and since then the numbers have only grown. When the phenomenon of coral bleaching comes up in the conversation, climate change is never far behind and may even precede the former. Climate change, global warming, or the greenhouse effect are just some names that people use to address this warming planet of ours. It is an all-encompassing issue, and no facet of society is unaffected. Corals are extremely sensitive to temperature and can begin the process of bleaching with just a 1.5 degrees Celsius to 2 degrees Celsius rise. They are irreplaceable assets to the Earth. More than just providing a great photo for tourists, they protect the coastline from storm surges, contribute to the production of 50% of the Earth's atmospheric oxygen, generate billions of dollars in the forms of jobs and services, and provide food and shelter for 25% of all marine species, just to name a few. However, the topic of bleaching isn't as well known as it should be, but scientists and other concerned groups are making an earnest attempt at restoring reefs, preventing bleaching, and bolstering areas already affected. Before anything can be done about climate change or coral bleaching, we must first identify the lens in which the factors can best be assessed. Out of the three theories of the functionalist theory perspective, the conflict perspective, and the symbolic interactionist perspective, I believe the functionalist perspective is the best lens for the role. The functionalist perspective highlights the interconnectedness of society by emphasizing how each part influences and is influenced by other parts. This lens aligns perfectly with the relationship the coral reef ecosystems have with the rest of the ocean and the rest of the world, being one large interdependent ecosystem housing numerous smaller interdependent ecosystems like those of the coral reefs, all of them depending on their interactions with one another and the world above. If coral reefs were to disappear someday, coastal communities would be the immediate receivers of any negative fallout, and the most affected. As stated earlier, reefs defend the coastline from storm surges which would otherwise accelerate erosion and even the destruction of property from road waves. It would also mean that many industries and people would lose jobs and revenue. For the sake of reaching a large enough audience to make a change, I believe social media would be best in today's social climate. With so many people glued to screens, checking the news, and checking their Facebook or Instagram, with careful planning, one post could start an entirely new movement. It's the best way to get the problem out there and to start an initial concern and conversation that can lead into new organizations or initiatives that work towards the longevity of coral reefs. The future of coral reef protection largely depends on how quickly and effectively we can mitigate climate change, especially ocean warming. But tackling that problem comes with its own set of issues. Some things that can benefit both causes would be eating sustainable seafood, conserving water whenever possible, only being an observer when diving, using reef-safe sunscreen, and practice safe boating. The next steps in coral reef protection have already been taken. Some scientists have been focusing on creating more marine protected areas, or MPAs. Although this may not protect directly from heat stress, renowned marine biologist Sylvia Earle states, reefs that have been protected or not yet exploited by fishing impacts survive when nearby places do not. Coral research is underway, which varies from taking a which varies from taking a look at different species that are more resistant to heat stress to planting different species in depleted reefs, even to the restructuring of the form in which we research coral itself, in order to allow for better comparability. There are even federal steps that are being taken in the form of the Clean Water Act, which has specific sections that target corals and coral researchers and related entities that help protect future endeavors. Overall, coral reefs are irreplaceable organisms that the world needs to realize, and they need to realize it needs protection. These living structures do so much for everyone, and it now falls to us to return the favor. Thanks for listening.